What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Thank you all so much for tuning back in, and let's get right into it. So, no sugarcoating it. Obviously, looking at the thumbnail today, I definitely screwed up again, big time. And not the end of the world. Obviously, it wasn't the you know biggest red day ever or anything like that, but definitely a nice little hefty red day. I was down over $120, like right around there, 122, I think, and yeah, I definitely made a lot of mistakes today, and I'm gonna walk through with you guys what I did wrong today again. Something I definitely find myself struggling with a lot, but here is all of our orders for the day, but what we're focusing on is TQQQ and SQQQ because that's the only thing I day traded today, and yeah, down 82 on SQs and down 39 on TQs, so definitely not the best. I had 150 orders today, so yeah, that's definitely a lot of orders. Definitely grateful that there's commission-free trading now, right? Because this would have absolutely destroyed me. But here are all my filled orders if you guys were curious and want to go through any by yourself, but that's going to take way too long for me to do. So I'm going to kind of summarize the most important part of it. And yeah, so I just want to talk about where I went wrong today with the NASDAQ, and this is how it looks. And like I always say, just to remind you guys, the NASDAQ there's an inverse ETF called SQQQ, and that acts in direct opposite of it. So right when the market opened up here at 6:30, it started to fall aggressively, right? The Nasdaq and its inverse ETF SQQQ, and it originally started to push up, right? And as you can tell, the rest of the day it ended up selling off, meaning that the Nasdaq ended up pushing up, right? So where I went wrong today was trying to keep getting into SQQQ because right around here, let me zoom in for you guys, with market open at 6:30 in the morning, and as you guys can tell, we immediately just started to have a big play towards the bottom VWAP, right? So it was a big push on SQQQ, the one I just showed you, the inverse ETF, and I always just try and hold off a bit right when the market opens up because I find direction to be pretty unclear most of the time. There'll be big red candles coming in making you think that it's gonna fall, only for there to be a big green candle after. So yeah, most of the time I think direction is unclear, so I try and stay away from it. But today would have been definitely a good example of a day two trade when the market opened up because direction was so clear, and that was a nice move, right? This little gap right here, all the way down here. And ultimately, I didn't really get take part in any of that. Maybe I made a few dollars here and there, but nothing big. And ultimately, right around here, the Nasdaq wanted to find a support, and it bounced off the bottom VWAP. It kept trying to kind of get rejected right around here. That's why you see a lot of red candles mixed in, but ultimately it kept finding these higher lows down here, right? And ultimately was able to go up and keep making these higher highs and higher lows. So I kept getting faked out because I thought since the Nasdaq sold off so aggressively, right? I thought that there was a good chance that the direction was still gonna be bearish on the day, but that didn't happen. So I kept trying to get into SQs like right around here at a potential resistance, the middle VWAP. And I would buy in and average up as it started to fall, only for it to keep going up. So I kept trying to find the bottom and I didn't go with direction, and that's where I definitely paid the price today. So especially right around this area is where you could see why it can be a little rough to get a good idea of where direction goes sometimes because I bought in maybe towards the top of this candle where it got rejected before, and it started falling, and it ended up even making these lower highs kind of and lower lows, right? It did fall aggressively here, and I was fully averaged in only for it to bounce pretty aggressively and start going right. It didn't want to keep falling like I thought would happen. And yeah, I was just so one sided today thinking the market had to sell off because it did aggressively at the start. And on top of that, it did have these nice little red candles mixed in. But I should have just paid attention to the fact that the NASDAQ was overall still uptrending now, right? It was making these higher lows repeatedly. And I was done trading by right around 9 o'clock, so right around here. And yeah, I had to call it for the day, but obviously the NASDAQ kept trying to follow that trend, and it kept rallying, right? It kept forming kind of this little channel now. It would find a support right around there for higher lows, anytime it came back down, the lows would be higher than they previously were. And on top of that, it would find higher highs, right? It would break out from areas that previously kind of got rejected. It would keep going, and it really soared today. So in terms of our swing trading, as you guys can see, we are invested in a few companies, not with a lot at all, but the reason for that is because the Nasdaq has been tanking a lot recently, and that's because all of these big tech stocks have been also. So like look at Tesla right now on the 180 day, and we can even look at it on the 1 year, but it is like at the all-time lows, right? Right around here, I'm looking at it as huge discounts basically for these big companies I really do believe in long term, and it's been really struggling a lot because of Elon and Twitter and all that headache and that news. But yeah, it's still pretty crazy how cheap all these stocks are right now, and it's something to keep in mind. That's why this is it on the 1 year time frame. That's why me and my brother decided to load up a very lightly. We got in with maybe a fourth or a fifth of what we plan to be fully in with, and yeah, that's only because we're at really cheap prices, but obviously the Nasdaq and everything like that, all these tech stocks can continue to tank. So don't I find myself losing a lot of money trying to always predict the bottom. So don't buy in so aggressively right now, thinking it has to recover just because these prices are cheap, because they could really continue to aggressively fall. So just keep that in mind. Another stock we're invested in we showed you was Snapchat, and right overall for the 180-day chart, this is definitely towards the lows, right? It offers a lot of potential for recovery, and yeah, that's why I'm very excited for this. Don't be too aggressive and get fully in, because if these do continue to tank, you put yourself at a horrible spot. But if you do want to load up now, because I agree prices do look attractive, make sure it's just you do your part in managing risk, right? Do whatever you want, buy in with how much you want. If you think it's smart to buy in with like a quarter like I do, then do it. But yeah, just if anything, just keep some risk management in mind. So that's what I'll leave you guys with. Thank you all so much for tuning back in. Definitely hoping to do a lot better tomorrow for sure. And yeah, hope to see you guys in tomorrow's recap. Thank you guys so much, and take care.